All right, we are live, baby. We are cooking this Wednesday night. Stoked. We got plenty to talk about. That's for sure. We just got to let it breathe for a second, connect to our Facebookers, and we'll get this party started. Welcome in, everybody. It is the Mile High Huddle podcast. I'm your host, Chad Jensen. With me, my fellow football priest. You know him, you love him. He is Zack Kelberman. And Zack, Monday night, we were basically repeating ourselves, going around in circles. Why haven't the Broncos done something? Maybe they could be working on a big move. And then kaboom, Tuesday morning. And it was nice that it happened right before Kelberman's corner. So that's
Right.
dope. But Tuesday morning, yesterday, the Broncos, it goes through the trade. They acquire Jaylen Waddle. We'll get into what they gave up and all that stuff. But first thing is first. I know Nick and Carl got the first swing at it because they were on Tuesday nights. A lot of news happens in the NFL on Tuesdays for whatever reason. But Zack, your gut reaction for the people.
See the smile on my face that whole time you were talking? That smile has not left my face since I heard of the trade yesterday. And some of the members saw me on KK give my quick gut reaction to the trade. I was over the moon. I'm still over the moon. I don't think the Broncos overpaid. I think it was a fair deal. I love how Jaylen Waddle kind of acquitted himself today in his introductory press conference. Very team first player and excited to be in Denver. I love the aggressiveness the Broncos showed by swinging for the fences and not swinging to hit a double with another lower tier receiver. I am still so happy, Chad, and it made all of the waiting worth it in an instant.
It really did. And he's exactly the fit the Broncos are looking for, not just in terms of what he brings to the field and what they were lacking in that receiver core, Zack, but his mentality, his football character, IQ, all that stuff from a culture perspective. Oh boy, is he going to fit well with the Denver Broncos? And I think everybody like us is super excited to see what Sean Payton and Davis Webb have in store. But, when the trade went through after I was done kind of going, okay, so that's what all this quiet, stuff was about. The first thought for me, Zack, was I bet Bo Nix is over the moon right now.
And he deserves it, man. Like he gave everything. And I've talked about this extensively over the course of the last couple of weeks, so it's ad nauseum at this point. But Bo Nix got him to the AFC title game. He would have got him to the Super Bowl. He might have won them the Super Bowl. He broke his ankle in the process. He was throwing to like backup Jag types. The least the Broncos could have done was go out and get a Jaylen Waddle. And like you, I'm just so happy for Bo that he has his true number one now.
I mean, you think about it, we're like, man, after the Cowboys pardon me, franchise tagged George Pickens, there just wasn't that clear tier one receiver guy to go after. There's still some talent there, some guys that you could maybe argue would represent an upgrade of some sort. But imagine if the Broncos, imagine it like this, Zack. Jaylen Waddle is a free agent and the Broncos outcompete everybody and land Jaylen Waddle. We'd be through just like, but they didn't have to compete with anyone except the Dolphins for whatever that offer was they were looking for. And it turns out, Zack, all those rumors where there's smoke, there was fire last fall. The Broncos were in on Jaylen Waddle, but pumped the brakes. Thank the football gods. There's a new regime in Miami, and they're looking to burn it down so they can rebuild it in whatever image they've got in their heads. And now Jaylen Waddle's a Bronco.
Yeah, and like if they went the trade route, it was a better option than signing a free agent. You're 100% right about that. But there was one trade target speculated for the Broncos, AJ Brown, that wouldn't have been an upgrade, Chad, over Jaylen Waddle or some other receivers. He would have been Cortland Sutton 2.0. This Waddle gives them the complementary, the Robin and Batman approach. He's the game breaker, and Cortland Sutton's the possession guy. He gets to be the ideal wide receiver too now. Again, this is just an excellent move by the Broncos.
And apparently, I think it was Diana Rossini. Others might have piled on to what I'm about to say on the insider reporting, but she said the Broncos were never interested in AJ Brown for what it's worth. That's coming from Rossini. And look, I agree with you. Like, Brown would have basically given you another Cortland Sutton, a slightly younger Cortland Sutton. And that could have helped in the sense that teams wouldn't have been able to just so easily sell out to double team court and all that. It would have made them have to be a little bit more honest in how they approach it. But Jaylen Waddle, not only does he do that, Zack, but he does so much more. 4.3 speed, that short area burst and explosion. I mean, he just looks different out there, right? From a speed perspective, like there's this one play. If you guys go to my X account at Chad and Jensen, it might be on Zach's. I'm not sure, but it's a little clip up of kind of his career highlights. And there's this one play, Zach, against the Falcons. It's easy to spot because the Falcons are in their all black jersey uniform. And dude, he just takes a little screen on the left hand, not a screen, slant on the left hand side, just kind of like DT in that Tebow Steelers, where he just cuts across the entire field. Only there was more than just one DB to beat. He just outran everybody, and you could just see the separation. It's like, this dude's different.
Yeah, he can do things that the Broncos haven't had at receiver, maybe since DT or Emmanuel Sanders. He's so dynamic with the ball in his hands. Like you said, the short area quickness, the breakaway speed. There's also a popular highlight where he's just winning a contested catch battle in the end zone despite pass interference penalty. He can do it all. He's a true number one receiver, and that's why I don't think, Chad, a 1 and a 3 is too much for him. I think it was a fair deal.
I do too. And, they also essentially, Zach, traded.
They moved up in the fourth round.
They swapped fourths, right? They swapped fourths. By the way, Zach, are you seeing this Tyson Anderson move?
No. Who's Tyson Anderson?
Here. This is the Tyson Anderson, a safety.
Did the Broncos sign someone?
Yeah, former Bengals, according to Yanni Tragelis of CBS Cincinnati. Anderson is signing a 1-year deal with the Broncos.
No, the Broncos are actually signing someone. They're actually signing an outside free agent.
Yeah. Wow. So I'm not sure. We gotta find. Oh, here it is. Let me try and pull this up.
Oh, Parker Gabriel says they do not have an agreement.
Okay, so who's this Yanni Tragelis, sports anchor, reporter, CBS Cincinnati, saying that it's done. So we'll keep an eye on that. But for now, let's see what the chat, what everyone's having to say tonight, how everyone's feeling. Storm Blessed in the house. Love it, dude. So good to see you. And dude, just appreciate how awesome you are and how supportive and just engaged with MHH you've been, big dog. So thank you for being a member and supporting on Super Chat. He says, Evening Priests, boy, isn't it funny what one trade can do for a fan base after a week of not signing anyone. Anyway, I'm pumped. Are there any other signings you see happening before the draft? Hashtag Denver Broncos for life. Man, Zach, there are several other signings I would like to see happen that I expect to see. Now, that's a different answer. What are your thoughts for Storm Blessed?
I want to echo everything you said there. Number one, Storm, thank you for your continued contributions and your generosity. We really appreciate it. Number two, there's players that I want the Broncos to sign, but I don't think they are going to sign them. Number one, as at last check, I think David Njoku's still available. I'd love to have him and the tight end core splitting snaps, maybe with Evan Ingram or taking over for Evan Ingram. Cam Jordan, defensive end from the Saints. I saw a comment mention him as well. He knows Sean Payton. There's a few free agents out there still, but I love, though, Chad, I was premature even to that. They couldn't even let me have that one outside signing. Not yet, anyway.
I know, but we'll see, dude. Zach just hit on all of them. And, we talked about this Monday night. The report, I want to say, Zach, came from Luca Evans that the Broncos had caps on the positions and what they're willing to pay and spend this season to not only bring back their own guys, but really just at the position. And I guess, too, we got to factor in the contract of Jaylen Waddle. And the good news is, kind of like the Russell Wilson contract where the Broncos signed him to an extension, 5-year. But by the time, basically they released him before he even played a single snap of that extension. And yet upon signing, part of the terms of the deal was he got the big signing bonus and X amount of it guaranteed, right? So all that money, it gets actually paid out up front with the signing bonus. And then the team can defer that over time, right? And that's where cap hits come into play. In the instance of Jaylen Waddle, they extended him, Zach, in 2024. The Dolphins did. And so he got a nice little signing bonus, little guaranteed money. They're moving on from him with 26 some odd million dead on the cap. The actual cap number, Zach, he's only on the books for like $5 million this season. So that's another savvy thing, although there is a little bit of gray area. Over the cap kind of broke it down. I'll find that article and we can kind of go through it. But he seems pretty financially reasonable, especially the next couple of years for a receiver who could be as impactful as he is.
Yeah, it's definitely a steal for 2026. About $5 million, as you said, the Broncos are going to be on the hook for. And for a number one guy, that is literally pennies on the dollar. But I do believe, Chad, unless they've restructured or something I haven't understood correctly, his cap number in 2027 skyrockets to like 24 or $27 million, something untenable that the Broncos just can't pay a receiver. So I don't know if they're going to do a new deal with him or restructure or whatever, but I don't think you can go into next season on his current deal with how it's structured.
Yeah, it might be something they take a look at. We shall see. But Storm Bless, brother, great to see you. Thanks again, big dog. Papa Bear jumping in. Awesome to have one of the
Thank you, David.
legendary mythical Mount Rushmore superstars every single night. Here he is saying, "Good evening, Broncos country," with the hashtag God bless the USA and let's go, Bo. Love it, dude. And yes, let's go, Bo, for sure. You know, he's psyched right now. But yeah, we very much need the God bless the USA thing right now. That is for sure, Papa Bear. Thank you for the reminder. We also got DJ Capo, legendary superstar, dear member, saying, "This is what I was saying that we need. Speed. This is it. That's for sure." Unofficial 4.3. He didn't run a 40, Zach, at the combine, but his pro day, Zach, 4.3 speed.
Yeah, if he's also a guy that if you watch him play, he looks faster than maybe the numbers indicate. With the ball in his hands, Chad, he can get away from you in a hiccup, in a blink, and he can take it to the house. That's the beauty of having a Jaylen Waddle. And like Capo's saying there, it's the one element from the Broncos offense they were missing, because I guess you had it in Marvin Mims and you had it in Troy Franklin, but Franklin's not a number one and Marvin Mims is not a full-time receiver. Jaylen Waddle is both of those things. Excuse me.
No doubt about it, DJ. Ted and Taylor, we're getting to you guys here in just a second. First, we got a little bit of a message for you guys. Listen, guys, it's March. You know what that means. The tournament is back. Upsets are inevitable, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. If you're not on Underdog yet, guys, it's easy and you're in luck, because new customers score $50 in bonus entries when you play your first $5.
Exactly. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether players will go higher or lower on stats like points and rebounds. Get your picks correct, and you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. Plus, there are new promos dropping daily in the app.
That's right, guys. So much fun. The opportunity to win some money while you're watching March Madness. Slam dunk, baby. So download the Underdog app today. Sign up with our promo code MHuddle to score that $50 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. Again, that's promo code MHuddle. Millions of fans have won billions making picks on Underdog. Ask yourself, will you be next?
Be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
All right, we go back to the chat here. We got, thanks for being patient, boys. We got Ted Wunderlich in the house, a dear friend. We've gotten to hang out with Ted and his old man a couple of times at the meet and greets. A dear member saying, "Broncos were scaring me for a bit there." I know, it's like we were all on crazy pills, right? And then you have that one, Zach, those, that vocal minority of folks in Broncos country after the Jaylen Waddle deal trade was done. It's like, see, I told you, everybody was just overreacting and freaking out. It's like, well, no, there's a reason why we use the word, Zach, unprecedented. No one had ever seen anything like it before. Like, it's very rare. And still to this very moment, the Broncos are the only NFL team that has not made an outside free agent signing. But thank the football gods once again, Jaylen Waddle's a Bronco. Anyway, they were scaring me for a bit there. He says we're on track for 2+, Zach, I told you so rants during the season, but now we're not. This is easily an A+ move. I love it. MHH for life, Broncos country. Let's Waddle.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ted, for that. And it would have given me no pleasure to go on those "I told you so" rants. I didn't want the Broncos to run it back 100% with the cast of characters they had in 2025 because that cast wasn't good enough, as we saw in the postseason. They had to make this move. And I thought, I was conspiratorial. I posited all these scenarios as to why the Broncos were being inactive. But ultimately, Occam's razor, the most logical solution or scenario was the Broncos were working on something in the background. And sure enough, they were. And yeah, A+ move. Thank you, Ted.
I mean, that's what we said. We're like, man, the only explanation is something's coming down the pike. What it is, how it takes shape, who it is, we don't know yet. But they got to be working on something because we can't all be taking crazy pills here. And it turns out we weren't. Ted, love you, big dog. We got Taylor Christensen in the house, another dear member, rocking his Bo Nix jersey in the profile pic, saying, what do you think of our new safety? I love Waddle. So again, there are reports from a local Cincinnati guy that the Broncos have signed a new safety. But according to Zach, I haven't seen this myself. I'll let you tell it. But locals saying that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, it's Parker Gabriel of the Denver Post. So someone very well connected and reputable. He goes, multiple sources say the Broncos do not have an agreement to sign safety Tyson Anderson, as has been reported. Not impossible. Safety depth and special teams is a need, Denver, generally speaking. But one source said a deal between the sides is nowhere close. Carry on, end quote.
So, and it would make sense, though, Taylor, if the Broncos were targeting a safety because they did lose PJ Locke. But you got to wonder, all right, they've been so careful about their comp pick formula, depending on what kind of contract this dude would get, which I can't imagine would be anything close to what PJ Locke got, which was basically what, Zach, 1 year, $5 million and change from the Cowboys. So it might not be a consideration with this particular player, but it sounds like to me, if they do get this done, or at least the thought is bringing in some depth, pardon me, a guy that can do special teams, because I think their plan, Zach, for that third safety, at least for now, is Devin Key, and we'll see what they do in the draft.
Yeah, Taylor, I don't know much about Anderson. I think is that Tyson Anderson? Yeah, the safety. I don't know much about him. He was a core special teamer in Cincinnati, apparently. A lot of Bengals fans do not want to lose him, but he wouldn't be a starter for the Broncos at all. Obviously, they have Brandon Jones and Hufanga. They're fine at safety, but like Chad said, they need a third safety after losing PJ Locke, and that might be Anderson here. And I was reading the original report that you linked in the private chat, Chad, and the reporter said that Anderson confirmed the signing to them. Maybe Anderson jumped the gun. Maybe it's not official yet, but it could get done. I would assume maybe if they still have interest in the next couple of days.
So just for what it's worth, real quick, and then we'll move on to Doc James here. But Anderson is a 26-year-old safety. He's a 2022 fifth-round pick of the Bengals. Played at Toledo, and yeah, special teams guy, just under 6'2". Pardon me, 209. Wow, Zach ran a 4.36 40. That's impressive. Yeah, so we'll see what happens. But Broncos also, Zach, look, they're going to continue, I'm sure, using Devin Key on special teams. He's an all-pro for a reason. Set the new franchise record for special teams tackles in a season. And then they also have another very productive and prolific safety that plays on specials in Skinner, right? So Skinner's also very good, but you need a little bit more depth there at the position regardless, Zach, with PJ Locke on. So it would make some sense, but we're getting some mixed signals on the Tyson Anderson front currently.
Yeah, they have needs throughout the roster. It was never just running back, tight end, receiver. I mean, they could use a linebacker still, despite bringing back Singleton and Strnad. They can use cornerback depth. They can use safety depth. And if they make this move, it would fit with their roster construction plan. I would not hate it.
Not at all. Not at all. Taylor, good to see you, pal. We got Doc James E in the house, another dear member and longtime superstar. Great to see you, buddy. And he says, boy, what a big, huge splash for our Denver Broncos. Glad we talked everyone down off the ledge. Cheers. And that is one thing that I hope people took away from our streams, Zach, our podcast, and our conversations we've had is that, yeah, we were scratching our heads right along with everybody else as to why this is going on and what the heck could be happening. But again, wasn't running to the cliff. We're saying, hey, hang in there. Even if they don't do anything, very good team that they're returning, and they still have the draft, right? But at the same time, we're going, man, trying to wrap our brains around this. That was the plan. That was the vision. And apparently, according to reporting, Zach, the conversations obviously dated back to the fall ahead of the trade deadline. But this new regime in Miami, those conversations, Zach, kicked up at the combine, and it kind of been percolating for, we'll call it a couple weeks.
That's what's so good about podcasting, is because it's preserved on the record, and you can go back and search and you can pull the receipts because, like you said, Chad, we said on multiple podcasts before they made this move, even if, and not to hedge our bets or pat ourselves on the back, but I think we took a level-headed approach. And we said, even if the Broncos don't make a single outside move, which we both thought was inevitable, but even if they didn't, they're good enough at base to be a 10, 11, 12 win team. So you're right, Doc. And like Chad was saying there, neither of us, and we can speak for ourselves, we weren't near the edge of the cliff, but both things could be true. We can recognize the Broncos still are a good team, but they were derelicting their duty, so to speak, by sitting on their hands for so long. It's okay to criticize them. We don't have to be sunshining over everything they do.
And even now, as we've already kind of hinted at earlier in the conversation, there are some needs that are pretty apparent. Now, the Broncos might not view them quite as desperately per se as we might. For example, the John Franklin Myers departure. They did draft Savion Jones last year. They basically let him have a redshirt rookie type of season. He was active a couple games, but he did not really contribute. But they obviously have some big plans for him. And then Ioma Uwazurike played really, really well last season, but as a depth player and what he brings to the table, hey, very helpful on first and second down. But that third down, Zach, interior pass rush thing, that goes bye-bye with John Franklin Myers. Now, the hope is that Savion Jones, right, can come in and provide some of that stuff, that pass rushing presence and impact on third down. So it could be, to quote my good friend BA, that's how he would say things. It could be, and by the way, God rest your soul, BA, that the Broncos are saying, it's gonna take two guys to fill this spot for now, and we'll see which one kind of maybe emerges, Zach, as the starter over time.
Yeah, and the bigger thing was, Doc, that the Broncos sent the message, and like Chad was talking about earlier, with he's happy about, or for Bo Nix, and I am as well, but they sent the message that they're not overly conservative. They're willing to spend money or willing to spend draft picks in the sole goal, the sole mission to make the Broncos offense better, make their quarterback better, and win more games in 2026 and beyond. And when they follow up the talk, they said they were going to be opportunistically aggressive. When they follow that up with action, that's where I commend them. It's easy to talk. It's tougher to actually follow through.
Exactly. But meanwhile, you got Cam Jordan out there. Zach, go get him, bring him in. But then again, I guess for them, the equation comes down to this. A 36-year-old Cam Jordan who still wants to play, we'd have to pay him something that's probably, I don't know what they'd end up having to pay him, but whatever it is, Zach, it would probably cancel out the fourth-round compensatory pick they're hoping to get from the John Franklin Myers departure, which was part of the arithmetic, part of the reason why anyway, Zach, this we know for sure, he wasn't even approached during the bye last season when they extended, 3 different guys. It was because they were looking ahead to the comp pick formula. Are they going to risk that by bringing in Cam Jordan when they believe they've got couple of guys, maybe not the shining obvious dude that's ready to rock, but 2 guys who could step in and kind of tag team that? We'll see. But Doc, appreciate you, buddy. Really, really good to see you. We got Tucson Phil also in the house, brother, on Facebook saying good evening, Chad, Zach, and Deacon Scott. Gonna be fun seeing Cortland Sutton and Jaylen Waddle get 1,000 yards this season, and also stopping the other team from crowding the line for the line of scrimmage for the run. Buckham, MHH for life, Broncos for life. Yeah, dude, he's going to be able to help this team in so many different ways, and it's going to be really fun to see how they use him. Like even Zach, if they hadn't made the big shift to have Davis Webb take over play calling duties, and even that considering, they're going to still prioritize the screen game. That's part of the Sean Payton offense. They love that. The problem is they haven't been all that great at it for a few different reasons, but the biggest primary reason is outside of Marvin Mims, who they've been kind of reluctant to use that much, They haven't had a guy that's all that great at running those. Waddle's perfect for that, Zach, because he's the perfect example of short pass, long gain. Make a guy miss, boom. I mean, it's like a kid in the candy store if you're Davis Webb or Sean Payton and Bo Nix too.
What I love about the Waddle edition is like a little bonus in that he knocks everyone down to where they should be. And what I mean by that is he takes over as the wide receiver 1. He makes Cortland Sutton a wide receiver 2. That's where he should be. It makes Troy Franklin or Marvin Mims a wide receiver 3, not a wide receiver 2. Or in Troy Franklin's case, that's not where he should be. He's not a full-time wide receiver 2 yet. So they finally have the correct pecking order, and they're not stretching anyone too thin. For so long, Chad, it felt like a decade or so, they had Cortland Sutton, and solely Cortland Sutton, as the wide receiver 1. And they tried to fit a square peg in a round hole over and over and over again. And they realized finally it's not going to work out. Now they don't have to do that anymore.
Dude, I think that look, there are elements to Waddle's game that you can point to previous Bronco receivers over time and go, this is similar to DT, or that aspect similar to Emmanuel Sanders. But I don't think the Broncos, at least in recent canon, have had a wide receiver that can quite do all the things that Jaylen Waddle can do. And I think the closest is Demaryius Thomas. I mean, even though Demaryius Thomas was a much more complete and overall way better and more prolific wide receiver, in my opinion, than Jaylen Waddle, DT comes the closest to that quick twitch, straight burner speed thing that Waddle brings to the table. And he ends up kind of being like an amalgamation between DT and Emmanuel Sanders. And one of the things that DT was really good at, they didn't run it with quite as much, quite as often, I should say, as Sean Payton does, but he was great at taking those screens and turning them into something, including 80-yard touchdowns. And that's something I look forward to seeing from Waddle.
You know who I just thought of, Chad? Carlos Henderson. Remember that name?
Yeah.
Former, I think it was a 3rd-round pick from like Carolina Tech, ACC or something like that, a very small school. And I was so pumped because he could have been that take the top off the defense kind of guy, the speed demon, the break the game open, and he just never materialized. So I'm faithful that Waddle will.
Yeah, 2017 3rd-round pick, barely. I don't think did he survive the season? Yeah, he was released. That's right. He made it through the second summer as a Bronco and was released basically right before the season started. The final cuts of his second year. Had a lot of injury history issues initially as a Bronco, but yeah, you always wonder guys like him what could have been for sure.
Yeah.
But Phil, brother, good to see you. Much love and respect. We also got Gene William checking in on Facebook. The brace girdles looks like are in effect. Love it, dude. He says, "What's up, man? Good to see you guys. It's good to see you too, Gene." Jaylen freaking Waddle. He says, "Now we need David Njoku and we'll be set." Man, I wish the Broncos were thinking that way, Gene. I really do. I just have my doubts. And not only based on the fact that he's been chilling on the open market, Zach, since, what is this, day 10, basically, since Njoku's been gettable. But also what we learned last week, Gene, in case you might have missed it, that the Broncos reportedly put a cap on the tight end position. Don't want to pay more than $6 million per year. What do you know? They extend Adam Troutman 3 years, and basically they're paying him about just under $6 million per year.
Yeah, Gene, you could ask for David Njoku, but the Broncos have Adam Troutman at home, so they're not going to splurge if they don't have to. They made their splurge, and they chose Adam freaking Troutman, and I say that non-lovingly. I still can't believe they gave him a 3-year deal. They gave him $18 million. They gave him legitimate guaranteed money. It blows my freaking mind, but even if we miss out on Njoku, who I've wanted from the outset, I agree with you. The fact the Broncos got Jaylen freaking Waddle, see different connotation, I am just pumped. I'm over the moon. It makes the whole offseason so far definitely worth it.
Especially knowing who they brought back, right? They brought back so much of the band. The only guys they've really lost up to this point is JFM, which we were all anticipating in the first place. PJ Locke was a little bit more of a question mark, but he wasn't a starter after all. He's a great guy to have when you need a starter, when your starter goes down, but wish him the best. So Gene, brother, thank you, pal. We also got Ralph, the old man, checking in. The old man meaning Gene's old man. Good to see you, bro. Hope everyone's doing very, very well in the Brace Girdle clan. He says, "My priests, Now we have to think about who in the receiver room won't make this team. LJH, Lil Jordan Humphrey. Yeah, that does kind of put a little bit of a damper on LJH. If I'm the Broncos, I'm going to him and I'm saying with a lot more seriousness and urgency, Lil Jordan, dude, you're our best blocking wide receiver. That's why we keep bringing you back. Let's just move you to tight end, dude. Let's just get that done. Put a few more LBs on over the offseason and let you get in line and block. And you could still be a very competent tight end receiver, right? Like he's coming from that receiver background. I would love to see it. The other thing, Zach, relative to Humphrey and Waddle is who gets 17.
I think the answer is very clear when Jaylen Waddle's holding up a 17 at his press conference today. I don't know if he paid off Lil Jordan Humphrey or whatever, but I would be very, very surprised if Waddle's in anything other than 17. But Ralph, you might be right. They signed Lil Jordan to like a 1-year deal for the veteran minimum. It was never a guarantee he was going to be on the week 1 roster, and especially not now. But I do wonder, as I wrote about for the website, what this means for some other players in the receiving core, like Marvin Mims, who's in the last year of his contract, and the Broncos have shown no faith in making him a full-time receiver, or Troy Franklin, who they tried to shoehorn into that number 2 role behind Cortland Sutton, and it didn't work out for Franklin. He's a number 3, probably at best. So one of them more than likely is in danger as well. I wouldn't be surprised if they trade Franklin or Mims on draft night.
There you have it, guys. He's going to rock the 17. So who knows? Maybe he didn't have to buy it because Lil Jordan was coming back on a new deal as well. I don't know. But
That's
now
true.
Lil Jordan's former number, love you, Ralph. His former number 84 is now Caleb Lohner. Right? Because he left this time last year with the Giants. Humphrey did. Then time passes. The Broncos go through the draft. They draft Caleb Lohner. He takes 84, which was what Humphrey rocked on his first stint in Denver. And then when he came back, they gave him 17, and now Waddle's got it. So we'll see. Maybe he rocks an 80s number. We'll have to see what's available for Lil Jordan. But Waddle keeps the number he's had as a pro, Zach, and I'm pretty sure that's what he rocked at Alabama.
Yeah, he looks really good in the number too. Some players just look good in certain numbers. I know it sounds stupid, but it's just what he's been associated with. And again, I'd be shocked if he didn't wear that in Denver.
All right, guys, we got a lot more to get to. Camden, we're coming to you, George, and our members in the chat. Hang tight with us, guys. But first, we got to take you back in time a little bit because when we first started the MHH merch store back in 2019, we weren't sure whether it was the right decision. And everyone has those thoughts like, man, what if this doesn't work? What if it fails? Nobody buys anything. And it's never easy to overcome that kind of uncertainty and those doubts. But choosing to make the leap and launch the merch store, I can tell you this, was one of the best decisions that MHH has made. And when we were launching the MHH merch store, Shopify helped ease so many of those concerns with its expertise, helpful tools, easy to use platform, etc. And we couldn't have succeeded, honestly, guys, without Shopify or, frankly, your support.
That's absolutely right. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from household names like Mattel and Magic Spoon to brands just getting started and niche brands like MHH. Get started with your own design studio. With hundreds of ready-to-use templates, Shopify helps you build a beautiful online store that matches your brand style. What if people haven't heard about my brand? Shopify helps you find your customers with easy-to-run email and social media campaigns. And what if I get stuck? Shopify is always around to share advice with their award-winning 24/7 customer support.
Guys, even for me, it stretches beyond MHH. Like when I started having fun with my band again and we were going to put out an album and we needed t-shirts and all that stuff, Shopify once again. And it was easy. It's point and click. It's really intuitive and the support is phenomenal. So it's time to turn those what ifs, guys, into cha-ching with Shopify today. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/milehigh. Go to shopify.com/milehigh. Again, one last time, shopify.com/milehigh, and get started on your dreams. All right, guys, back in the saddle. We got Camden. What's up, brother? Dear member, bona fide superstar, saying, what's up, Broncos country? I'm excited about the Waddle trade and how it could benefit Bo Nix, the offense, and hopefully the Broncos can be dominant and dynamic on offense. Let's go Broncos. Yeah, I mean, Bo Nix, Zach, for the most part, I want to say he's been pretty diplomatic and democratic, I think is actually the word I'm looking for, in spreading the ball around. However, he's had his favorite, right? Cortland Sutton, when the chips are down, is his guy. And if you look at the target share, I mean, I could pull it up. The difference between the number of targets Cortland got last year and Troy Franklin, for example, there is a deficit, but I think that you're going to see a pretty clear, like, Zach, that was actually a good way to put it, I think. I haven't heard anyone quite put it the way you did, that one of the upsides to this trade, beyond the obvious, what you're getting with Jaylen Waddle, is it kind of does clarify and crystallize everybody's role and kind of puts everybody on that depth chart a little bit more in their place. The biggest question mark I have is, how does Marvin Mims fit in? Does the Waddle trade and him coming to town, which, by the way, he passed his physical. He's officially a Bronco. You guys know that. But Marvin Mims, is this an excuse, Zach, to just keep him on specials for the contract year? Or are they going to try and build on some of that momentum you think he established in the playoffs?
I don't know. It's tough because, like you said, he is in a walk year, so the Broncos are going to have to decide what they want to do going forward. And to this point, all we can go on is how they've utilized him and how Sean Payton has spoke of Marvin Mims. Despite what we've seen in the limited sample size, it seems like every time Mims is thrown the ball, I was watching a replay of the Giants-Broncos game, and he made a big catch on the last drive, the game-winning field goal drive I forgot about. Every time you throw Marvin the ball, he ends up catching it. He ends up coming up clutch. But I don't think that Sean Payton sees him that way, Chad. If he did, he would have made him the wide receiver 2 last season and not Troy Franklin. And I was trying to look it up. I didn't have time, but I think Franklin had 100 targets last season from Bo Nix.
Keep talking.
And if he had anywhere near that number, those 100 targets immediately going to Jaylen Waddle now will just boost the offense on that alone. That's what makes it so much better. As I was talking about knocking everyone down in their place, the difference between having Troy Franklin as your wide receiver 2 and wide receiver 3 could be massive.
Yeah, so you're right. 104 targets, Zach, but he only caught 65 of them. So that's a pretty big gap between the number of targets and how many were actually caught. Meanwhile, you go to Cortland. Cortland had 124 targets. So actually, they were a little bit closer in the target realm than I expected. And Cortland, too, only 74 of the 124. So I don't know what it is. Like some of that downfield stuff they got to get better at. But yes, Jaylen Waddle is going to be stepping in and consuming the majority of those targets from Troy Franklin. But hey, it's not over for Troy. I mean, he stands to be that next receiver on the field. And it's like Jaylen talked about today during his press conference. He's like, do you view yourself as the number 1 receiver coming in here or whatever? And he's like, look, I don't think there is a number 1, generally speaking. And it's actually something, Zach, that Sean Payton has said, right? Like, where it kind of comes off as coach speak and you're trying to kind of understand the train of thought. But what he's trying to say is that, yeah, you've got a Z, or pardon me, you got an X, you got a Z, and then you got your slot. And in a Sean Payton scheme, man, those pieces get moved around quite a bit to where it's not like the old days where an X, even the Demaryius Thomas days where it was pretty clear he's the X, pretty clear Sanders was the Z. In the Payton offense, you know, guys move around. Some guys, you start out on the boundary as the Z, and then the next set you're playing from the slot or whatever. So Sean Payton, Davis Webb, they'll be moving their pieces around the board to devastating effect as long as Bo Nix continues to take those steps, which we all are confident that he's going to. It's going to be dope.
And here's the context in that as well. It's not so much that they moved Franklin around the formation, because you're right, Chad. The chess pieces that Sean Payton has are interchangeable around the offense. It's not that they moved Franklin from the outside to the slot or vice versa. It's that he still ended up with 100+ targets, almost as much as the de facto wide receiver 1 in Cortland Sutton. I don't know another team, I should say, at least, where Troy Franklin would have gotten 100+ targets. Again, when we talk about how badly Bo Nix needed another weapon, it comes out in the numbers and the data, man, because boy, this was the biggest gap on the team and they filled it a plum.
Yeah, dude, I'm stoked. Camden, appreciate you, buddy. We got D-Dub checking in from the top rope.
Thank you, Dale.
Legendary superstar. Thank you, Dale. Love you, buddy. He says, we knew something had to be brewing. And this is what he was saying. I think it was Monday night. It might have been Sunday night because sometimes the days run into each other. But this is what Dale was saying. Like, we were kind of thinking A.J. Brown because some of the scuttlebutt, right? You had even Brian Baldinger kicking that ball down the road a little bit and giving it new life, just right going into the weekend or whatever. So Dale was on this. He's like, something's coming. And here he is saying, we knew something had to be brewing. This guy has been underutilized, in my opinion, talking about Waddle, due to Tua's lack of arm strength and his overall play. Waddle can play at elite levels against zone, man, and press coverage. Fired up. Round 2, which is now our first round pick, kind of like Zach 2022 and 2023 with the Russ thing. We didn't have a first round pick to look forward to. So that second round pick, which ended up being Benito and who is 2023, Marvin Mims, ended up being everything for Broncos country. But he says round 2, I'm hoping for the linebacker, Texas Tech Rodriguez, or the tight end, Eli Stout. I think it's Stowers. I'm stoked, he says. Broncos for life.
Man, Dale, it often happens, but it really happened now. First of all, first and foremost, thank you so much for your generosity as always. But like, I agree word for word with what you're saying here. The premises, the predictions, the insights. I would love for the Broncos because that's their biggest needs now. After filling receiver, they've re-signed Dobbins. So, okay, that's kind of taken care of. You still need a tight end. I'm not sold on running it back with the small 3, not even the big 3. And you need another linebacker because I'm not sold with running it back with Singleton and Sternad after releasing Dre Greenlaw. And then you're relying on Kareem A. Reed and Lavelle Bailey. So I would love these picks. And what you pointed out there with Waddle and his being underutilized is so true. Some fans, opposing fans, and even some Broncos fans have criticized Waddle for not having a 1,000-yard season in a couple years. If you've watched a Dolphins game in the last couple seasons, you'd understand why. The quarterbacking nightmare, the coaching nightmare, they had one playmaker they were relying on, they were trying to utilize in HN. Waddle still did very well considering the circumstances. And if you look at his early production in Miami, the dude has superstar potential. He's going to get back to in Denver.
Dude, that whole team was imploding last year, and he still had 900 and something yards and 6 touchdowns.
Exactly.
By the way, that would have co-led the Broncos in touchdowns and would have checked in just behind Cortland Sutton in yardage. So it's not like he's had 3,000-yard seasons to start his career and then turned in a couple of 300-yard campaigns. Like, he's been plugging away, but it's a quarterback-dependent position, right? And Tua, between the injuries and then just fully losing his grasp on being the guy in Miami, yeah, his numbers suffered, Jaylen Waddle. So, but here's what's interesting. Like, D-Dub here, he's stoked on the possibility of Rodriguez for the Broncos, second-round pick. So here's NFL mock draft database, linebackers, according to the consensus big board. Of course, Arvell Reese is the first, then Sonny Styles. Those guys will be gone in the top 10. Then it's C.J. Allen, the Georgia linebacker, who we liked as a strong possibility when the Broncos still had pick 30. Then it's Anthony Hill Jr. from Texas. Then Jacob Rodriguez, who's moving up in terms of his average mock draft position with the different mocks across the internet. And this doesn't necessarily take into consideration fan mocks. It's like publication mocks, right? And then it's Jake Golday, who I like a lot as well. Trotter's awesome, but those two right there, Zach, Rodriguez, Golday, linebacker, that is an issue for Denver because, yes, and I just realized I'm totally blocking my parts face off. They brought back Zach Singleton. They brought back Sternad, but they're net negative right now because they let Dre Greenlaw hit the bricks.
Yeah, I'm with you as well. If they can't get Rodriguez, if he goes before their pick, I would be very happy with Golday. I think he can thrive in the middle of the Broncos defense. And like you said, like Dale is saying here, it's still a big need despite bringing back the incumbents from last season. Thank you again, Dale.
Yeah, dude. Much love and respect. Hope the family's doing well, big dog. We got DJ Capo again checking in saying Waddle, Franklin, Mims, and Sutton on the field. Danger. Yeah, dude. I mean, I look at it like this. So that slot or that third, let's just say that third receiver onto the field, it's going to be a rotation. It'll be Franklin at times. It'll be Mims. It'll be Pat Bryant. But what gets me excited, like, this is what actually would thrill me the most. Cortland Sutton, Jaylen Waddle, Marvin Mims, and then let's not forget Evan Ingram, guys, who this should also help free up a little bit. So, I mean, for Bo Nix now, it's like that he was just missing the one piece. You didn't need all pros at every single skill position, but just give him the difference makers. And I think by Waddle coming in, Zach, it's going to take some of the pressure off of Franklin, for example, and Bryant. And I think you could see them actually develop at a faster rate because some of that pressure is off them. And, also some of the attention from defenses. It'll be interesting. But I agree, DJ, danger.
And how about whoever's lining up in the backfield in that theoretical package? RJ Harvey out of the backfield as a pass catcher. There's a lot of different ways. The Broncos, it's like death by 1,000 paper cuts when you're facing the Broncos offense because they have weapons at every level now. That's what Shab was saying. They were just that missing element away. It was a major element, don't get us wrong, but it was just one singular element, and they have it filled now.
I mean, we can't forget, guys, like sometimes it's, I think, easy for all fans, but especially our neck of the woods, to take Cortland Sutton for granted at times just because, he's not making those big 80-yard plays all the time, right? Like you see some of the big superstar receivers in the NFL do. But guys, there's a reason why the Broncos have him on his third contract. He's indispensable. And now they got to play him straight up. They got to play him honestly, man on man, dude. And because if you double team Cortland Sutton put a safety over the top, fine. Then Jaylen Waddle's just got to beat one guy. And so now they got to go, all right, we got to kind of play our safeties a little bit more honestly, man on man, whatever, or zone like D-Dub was talking about. Either way, Bo Nix, he'll find those matchups that are favorable. Boom, boom, boom. It's going to be dope. So thank you, DJ. Great point, my friend. I don't want to skip over George on Facebook. What's up, brother? Hope you're doing well, big dog. He says, just saying hello, guys. And Broncos country, MHH for life, Broncos for life. Hit the thumbs up, guys. Yeah, while you're with us, don't forget, hit that thumbs up. Helps us out a lot. We also have here, Zach, the original Dizzy D checking in. Good to see you, pal. He says, be on the lookout for the whittle and waddle like a baby duck TD celebration. Sutton, right? He does the Waddle thing when he scores. Sutton is Whittle, and we have Waddle, and we got them baby ducks in Nix and Franklin. LOL. Yeah, very well said, dude. That reminds me of something Michaela texted me, the Duchess. I'll see if I can find it, Zach.
I just love a lot of avian terminology there. A lot of allusions to birds. We appreciate it, Dizzy. Thank you for that.
Let me see. I'm seeing if I can find it. Oh, man. Waddle. Oh, dang. She said, Bo is a duck. And what do ducks do? They waddle, right? Yeah, I like that. Well said. Original Dizzy D. Appreciate you, my brother. We got the oh my gosh, the Lady D coming in from the top rope.
Thank you, Deanna.
Deanna Hendry checking in. Mount Rushmore superstar, dear member, legendary figure in the community, saying, I am so happy with the Waddle trade. I know we were all there on the ledge, not jumping off it, but kind of going, we're like John Travolta in Pulp Fiction. You know that meme? Is anything going to happen here? She says, Bo Nix finally getting the help he needs. I see nothing but positive outcomes for Waddle and Sutton, both going over 1,000 this year. We still need a running back, linebacker, tight end, but I don't see them going for a tight end. A great trade overall. Hashtag MHH for life. Believe it or not, the last time the Broncos, Zach, off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure of this, I'll double check it, had 2,000-yard receivers was Trevor Siemian's first year, 2016. DT and Sanders got over, and then that was the last of them both balling out together. But how nice would that be? Lady D, love you.
Yeah, first and foremost, Deanna, thank you so much. You hear me say these words every single day, but thank you so much. There were many seasons, Chad, the Broncos were struggling to get 1,000-yard receiver. There were a lot of seasons where they didn't have any 1,000-yard receivers. So the fact now they could have two going over 1,000, Bo Nix in a big third season, coming off an AFC Championship game appearance, or at least for the Broncos. Now Davis Webb calling the plays and getting Waddle going over the middle and down the field. I am stoked. I am pumped, Deanna. I share and echo your sentiment there. Great trade for the Broncos, and thank you again.
And again, the contract is doable. That kind of reminds me. So real quick, Lady D, I'm going to take your super chat off the screen so I can do a little share screen here. I think that you and everybody else will find edifying. Let me just pop that off. And this comes from Jason Fitzgerald, the brainchild of Over the Cap. And I'm not going to read this whole thing. He's not all that stoked on the trade from Denver's side. He doesn't quite get it, but that's okay. He's like national guy. A couple things he says here, Zach. So, quote, this is a great trade for Miami, assuming they didn't pick up any salary. Better receivers than Waddle have gone for less than this. And Miami's path to being relevant again, it's about getting younger, et cetera, and getting draft picks. Miami will take on $26.3 million in dead money for the trade, but then they'll get a $3.08 million salary cap credit next year. Waddle's contract was another in a long line of missteps by the Dolphins in the last few years. He was signed to an extension in 2024 and played exactly 0 games under the new years of his contract, which begin this season. They paid him about $16 million more than his rookie contract for those 0 games. Miami will likely need to restructure another contract, blah, 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 to execute. Denver, I'm sure, has to be looking at this like they're getting Waddle at a discounted price since Miami prepaid part of that contract. They will take on the Broncos $68 million in salary over the next 3 seasons with $41.3 million effectively guaranteed. So in reality, he writes, it's a 2-year, $41 million contract followed by, Zach, a decision year. The Broncos have some wiggle room with how they can handle the cap charges. They can either take on the $5 million cap charge this year, or they can say, no, decline that through his option that's coming up and take on the full $17.24 million cap charge, which then reduces his future cap charges. So they can either take the kind of discount this season, Zach, or they can take it in the future. I think they end up taking it this year. But this is why, apologies for the long-winded reading of this, but it's good context to understand even further why this is such a good trade for Denver.
Well, I mean, about him, it's like, just put the fries in the bag, bro. Just give me the numbers. I don't need you to tell me what your opinion is on the trade, whether you like it or not. He's an unabashed Jets fan, Chad. So that is enough said there. I like, everyone has their opinion on the trade. The Broncos only being on the hook for $5 million, and we understand there's a cap decision they're going to have to make. But even if it was a 2-year, $41 million contract, getting a number 1 receiver for Bo Nix at $20 million for a couple years isn't a bad deal at all.
No. So I'm with you though, Deanna. Waddle and Sutton both going over 1,000. It's officially been 10 years since the Broncos had 2 1,000-yard receivers in a single season. Why not now? Bo Nix, I think, Zach, he's going to continue turning that corner and getting closer. Now he's got the weapons to have the means to kind of start putting up some of the Star Wars numbers like you saw from the Drew Brees offenses over the years in New Orleans and like Broncos fans became accustomed to for that 4-year run with Peyton.
Or how about he throws his receiver a ball and the receiver catches it and holds on to it. That would be a start for Bo Nix. He didn't have much of that consistently in 2025.
Before we dip out of here, let's grab some of the members here. Ronk, good to see you, pal, says Broncos legend Rod Smith talked about the trade. Yep. And basically what he said, I'll paraphrase. He said that, talked about what Waddle brings to the table, which we touched on tonight. But he also said that it sends a pretty clear message, Zach, to this receiver room that, hey, man, it wasn't good enough. Not Courtland Sutton per se, although we have our complaints, right, with the drops. That could always be better. But more to the Franklins, the Bryants, and the Mims that it's go time. Like when your number gets called and you're on this field and you're in this offense, you need to be on point. So hopefully that is, Zach, an effect that helps kind of raise the ships in the receiver room, that competition now going, because you had 3 guys basically kind of rotating in on 2 spots. Now it's 3 guys that are going to be 4, if you count Lil Jordan, that are going to be battling for that 1 spot with regularity anyway on offense.
Yeah, and it makes everyone else accountable too. Like if you can't do the job consistently, we'll go trade for someone else who will. And Sean Payton even talked about that and demonstrated in the end of season press conference when he said the receivers weren't catching the ball properly, they weren't aligning their thumb to where it should be or whatever, how he described it. They go out, they fire the receivers coach, and they trade for Jaylen Waddle. Again, like I said earlier, I love seeing action and not just talk.
Another dear member, Chris Bush, saying, yes, our linebackers need to tighten up this year to really lock down the defense. Hopefully, VJ looks at this as a weakness for us last year. So I think, unfortunately, you have to, if you look at the Broncos defense, Zach, as a whole last season, as great as it was, and you go, all right, where are the weak points? It was the middle. It was the linebacker play. But I honestly think they brought back the best one, and that's Justin Strnad. Dre Greenlaw, with all the injuries, he's, the time on task that he missed on the sideline, he wasn't quite able to find his footing. He's a great guy. And I know the Broncos, Zach, they didn't feel great that it didn't work out. And I'm sure they didn't feel great, Zach, moving on from him, but he landed on his feet back with San Francisco. So in my opinion, no harm, no foul there. But that unit, like I'm feeling like Zach Strnad's still kind of on the upswing a little bit, really confident in him. I'm fine with Singleton as well, because I think he kind of found his footing the second half of this season, coming back from that ACL that he missed most of the preceding season. It takes a little time to find your football legs. To me, it's a question of who's going to be that third guy, because in the NFL, man, you need a solid three guys at the top of your depth chart at linebacker. And I don't think that guy's currently on the roster. I don't want to sell Jordan Turner, Lavelle Bailey, Drew Sanders, Karine Reed short, but I think that's one of the positions that we can kind of earmark as who was it that was talking about D-Dub, Rodriguez, Golday, something like that in the draft.
I think the Broncos saw what VJ did with the linebackers he got in Arizona, the first round commitments they gave him, and he didn't capitalize too much. So maybe they went with a higher floor room with Strnad and Singleton, and it might be the way to go. I don't know, but I still think you need another linebacker, at least with more upside or more sideline to sideline ability. I'm with you, Chad. I guess Strnad has at least a little bit of upside left in him, but Singleton is on the decline now. We know what he is. He's a decent run stuffer. He's horrible in pass coverage. They need that young up and comer, so they need not to be done at the position just yet.
Yeah, Pearl. So the Broncos have not signed Tyson Anderson yet, according to Parker Gabriel. There is a report from Cleveland that it happened, but it's not official yet. So we'll keep an eye on it. But if they do sign him, he's a safety. He wouldn't affect Marvin Mims. The only way he would affect him is he'd be there on specials to kind of help block for him, probably on punt return and maybe kick return. But he'd be coming in to help on special teams as a gunner and be a depth safety if they end up bringing him in, which I'm kind of intrigued now, Zach, to be honest with you, especially going back and looking at some of his combine numbers. Like, dude, at 6'2", ran a 4.3.
Yeah, basically just a backup safety, core special teamer. Maybe remember Tremont Smith a couple years ago? Same thing. He was technically a cornerback, but he made most of his bones on special teams. And maybe Anderson will play a little more defense and a little more safety, but he's not anything more than a backup behind Jones and Hufanga.
Yeah, Ronk, the Bills were in on Waddle, and they reportedly offered the Dolphins more, but they just didn't want to trade him in the division, right? Which makes sense. Another dear member, Mike Thompson, bro, saying, and this is true, man. I wrote this up. I decided to cover what Talib said. I just had a feeling coming off that podcast Monday night, the last time you saw Zach and I together. And earlier that day, Talib had made a little bit of news, Zach, saying the Broncos, I'm telling you right now, I'm not betraying my sources, but we are going to have a quote unquote explosion player for Bo Nix coming down the pike. And so I'm like, all right, I'm going to write this up. And my mind was kind of still stuck on AJ Brown, Zach, because of the scuttlebutt. I wasn't ruling out Jaylen Waddle, obviously, but something like that. And sure enough, the next morning, wake up and he said, make sure when it happens, you say Lieb was right. Lieb was right.
Yep. Lieb was right, so I give him all the credit. I love that he made the claim to Skip Bayless's face as well and made him look better in the process himself.
Oh, yeah. Roy says, I just hope that Bo and Jaylen get some chemistry. Oh, yeah. That's one thing that was pretty clear. I mean, we knew this beforehand, but just hearing him talk today and what he says, like he's got a very high football IQ. I imagine he's going to pick up the scheme pretty quickly. I thought it was impressive that when he mentioned the Broncos, he was asked about how he fits in the receiver room and stuff. He was there for a couple hours today by the time he's talking, Zach. He named every receiver in the room by first name, which is not easy to do. I mean, he might have already had that log, but it goes to show you the kind of football character he has, football brain, knowing where he's at, people, all that stuff. He's a smart dude, and it won't take him too long.
Yeah, you'll never confuse him for a diva. Like an A.J. Brown, if you bring him aboard, you're getting all those character concerns. Same with George Pickens, for that matter, as well. You don't have those concerns with Jaylen Waddle. He's clean as could be.
All right, guys, we got a few messages for you. Then we got to dip out, but we'll take one last look at the chat before we do, so don't go anywhere.
Another tremendous installment, as always, of the Mile High Huddle podcast. If you're not doing so, please follow us on X at the MHH Pod. You can follow the main account on X at Mile High Huddle. Chad at Chad and Jensen, myself at Kelberman NFL, and Scott, our producer, at Scout Kennedy. If you guys want some merch like we're rocking each and every single podcast, check out MHHmerch.com and get you some. If you haven't done so yet, please drop us a like at Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. You can find us on Instagram at Mile_High_Huddle. If you haven't done so, please join the new MHH Discord server. The link is in the description below. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure you're leaving your football priest a 5-star review for a chance to win some merch each and every single month. But if anything, y'all, please subscribe, like, and share this video and every video you see on the MHH channel. It really helps us grow and reach more Broncos fans just like you.
That's right, guys. And much love and respect, David Youngkin, brother. Sorry you're not feeling so hot today, big dog. And I hope you get feeling better here pretty soon. A Mile High salute, a special shout out to all the great Super Chat superstars, supporters, dear members, helping us keep the lights on. By the way, Steve Baumgartner, I saw your mock that you sent on X today, dude. Really dope. He says, I think we get Njoku and Cameron Jordan. We'll see, buddy. We'll see. I would not hate it at all. Like, time to go all in. You got Bo Nix on the cheap for this year and next year. I mean, now's the time. So shout out, though, starting at the top, going from the top to the bottom. We got Storm Blessed. We got the Papa Bear, DJ Capo, Ted Wonderlick, Taylor Christensen, Doc James, Tucson Phil, Gene William, legend, Camden, George Fox, Gene's dad, Ralph, D-Dub, legend, DJ Capo, brother, the original Dizzy D, all you guys, we love you so much. And the Lady D last, but certainly not least. Thank you all so much for a great conversation. We appreciate your support. You know this. And Zach and I will be back tomorrow night. It's going to be fun.
Have a great rest of your night, Broncos country. We will see you tomorrow. Take care. And as always, go Broncos.